G'day guys, welcome to Photoshop. Today I'm just going to be doing a bit of an illustration. I've done a couple of sort of topical instructional videos recently and I'm having a lot of fun with them, but they take a lot of time to put together and they also prevent me from actually doing what I love about art, which is the painting process. So I dedicated some time over the past couple of weeks to just paint something that I wanted to paint, and it's a weird one. I think by the time it was done, I'm still completely unsure of whether or not it's successful or not. There are elements within it that I really like, but as a piece, it's difficult. It's a difficult one to put my finger on because it's not like anything I've done before, really, not like anything I've seen before, and there's probably good reasons for that. But I think I've been falling into my comfort zone just a little too much lately. Drawing things that I know I can succeed on, and it's a trap. It's a trap. You don't want to do that. If you're ever comfortable, you need to shake things up. You need to challenge yourself, because that's when you learn, right? That feeling of failing is the learning feeling, and you need to look for that every time you get comfortable. Okay? If you think, I'm getting this, everything I'm doing is coming together nice, do some reflection on yourself. Like, ask yourself, really, am I doing very similar stuff all the time? Am I getting sort of stuck in a rut? Sometimes you need to mix things up, because those times when you really suffer are the times when you break through and you feel like you really improve from it. And it's just challenging yourself, mixing things up. Don't get too comfortable. And so with this one here, I had this idea, and I stumbled across it while I was coming up for ideas for my Dungeons and Dragons campaign. And the idea was this wizard's apprentice who was impatient with the pace of her study. She was lusting for power, and she misidentified a magic artifact. It was a ring. Seemed to her inexperienced magical talents to give the ability to fly. But what it was actually was a cursed ring that her master was trying to, study. And it reversed the gravity for the wearer and could not be removed. So she's stolen this ring and run away from the wizard's tower and, just pinched a bunch of scrolls and things, and she's going to go out and make it on her own. Sat down under a tree and put this ring on because she wanted to try flying to the next town. And suddenly gravity reversed and she flies up into the tree and lands on a branch. And she's been sitting there for maybe a couple of days or something like that. She's quite tired and thirsty. But if she takes any step in any direction, she's just going to fly up into the sky. So she has few options. And this presents a really interesting problem for the party if they stumble across this person trapped in a tree. She's obviously got secrets that she wants to keep to herself. There's also a big, fat, juicy pack full of stolen magical items at the base of the tree that the party can simply steal and run away. If they do want to help the apprentice, is she going to lie to them? She does need to go back to the wizard's tower to try and have this thing removed, because that wizard is the only person in the area who can probably break the curse. How the hell do you carry someone who will fall into the sky? The only idea I could come up with was tying a rope around her ankle or something and trying to carry her to the tower. It would be very uncomfortable and funny for the party to be trying to figure this out. And then you just have a bunch of, bandits or something attack the party on the way to the wizard's tower. And that presents its own fun scenario, right? They have to try and keep hold of the rope while bandits are coming in and trying to attack them. Maybe swapping who can hold her while they go and attack and cast different spells and things. could be really interesting. And if you're so inclined, you could also have the enemies try and cut the rope and send her flying into the sky. It just seemed like a nice place to have a really interesting and memorable encounter. So, and it could lead further on to like adding like a powerful wizard character into your campaign, who could then be used as a plot device throughout future stories. Anyway, that's enough talking about Dungeons and Dragons. It's a really big inspiration for my art, actually. I recommend anyone who's into drawing fantasy to give it a shot if you haven't. It's just so much fun. It really gets your creative juices flowing. Write a campaign, come up with stories, come up with crazy characters, play with some friends, drink some beers, have a laugh. It's great fun. Anyway, so there's actually other reasons why I thought of this as well, more personal reasons. So I always try and have some sort of, personal connection to an idea that's sort of going on in my mind at the time. Because usually this imagery pops into my head for other reasons, right? And I'm like, that would be a cool adventure. But I'm not going to talk about that stuff. That stuff's personal. So, but try and attach some personal emotion or feeling to your work. And have that in the back of your mind as a sort of guiding light of some kind, like gives you ideas. Because you'll come up with strange ideas if you think of metaphor for situations that are on your mind. And then you can apply some fantastic theme to it. Just how I come up with my ideas. Try and speak from experience. You get really a lot more honesty in the work, I think, if you do that. Anyway, so I thought this was a really good project because it's challenging, right? I didn't realize how challenging when I first started, but drawing someone sitting upside down, there's all this foreshortening going on. I wanted the clothes to not be affected by the magical artifact because I thought it would confuse the viewer a little bit, look a little strange. And then I start to run into some really tricky things with lighting the face and the body. And it was interesting, right? Because you should always try and draw things from all different angles. You really should try and like light the face from below, light the face from above, draw things from above, below, side on, because in doing so, you really need to understand what you're drawing as a 3D object. And that's really important because we should be trying to break the idea of drawing things as icons, drawing the same hand the same way, drawing the face the same way with the same lighting pattern, on the face, light and shadow. It's easy to get into a rut and start doing the same thing. And you might be able to do a good job of it, but it's a bit of a lie. You're figuring out how to draw one face, basically, or one hand. And you may just be memorizing the patterns of the light and shadow that go with that face or that hand. And it's not very helpful if you need to do things differently. So with this one, I was drawing it upside down, so from above. And then also the light was coming from below. So... well, above. It's a mind bender. It's coming from the sky, but she's upside down. You get what I'm talking about. It's confusing. So all of the ambient light is coming down into the underside of the face. It was confusing. I'm still confused by it. I couldn't quite figure it out. Every time I went to paint something, all of my initial reactions was like, oh, we'll put the light from the top. Wait, I can't put the light from the top. It has to be from underneath, and she's upside down. It really, really twisted my mind. It was hard. And I had a lot of fun with it, but oh man, I stuffed it up quite a bit, and that's great. At the time, it sucks. It sucks to fail so much. It sucks to realize that you haven't really figured it all out. But it was really cool as a problem. And I ended up with an image in the end that, although it's flawed in many ways, it's not something I've seen a million times before, and that's important. It served the purpose of targeted practice, and it also exposed a few weaknesses that I have that I get to then work on in the future. So yeah, a really useful development piece. I'm really glad I did it. The next thing I'm going to focus on, because I'm always setting myself these personal goals, and my goal at the moment is to increase the mood. I want it to be dripping with mood, because I want that mood to serve my story, and the story is the most important part. So I want narrative. I want people to ask questions when they look at my work. I want them to feel like they're stepped into another world and there's something happening at that time that is engaging. Not just look at my technical skills, which is something that I have been obsessed with for years, and now I'm completely freaking bored with. I'm not concerned too much about technical skills anymore. I want narrative. I want meaning in the work, and I'm still not quite there. I'm not quite satisfied with it, and I think mood is suffering. So look out for the upcoming pieces. They're gonna be dripping with mood. I'm gonna be focusing on that. Maybe I'll talk about that in future videos. I've been drawing some inspiration from artists who I think are particularly moody and cool. Most of all, probably my number one inspiration at this time is Jesper Eising. His stuff is just so cool. He is a little loose with his anatomy and stuff like that sometimes. It very much serves the story. Getting the attitude of it right is so much more important to him than having the structure of it be 100% correct. Like, he'll twist hands and things into some strange gestures, but you understand why he's doing it. And it's not a mistake. And I just find that really interesting as a concept, that he's not thinking about getting all the lighting correct, right? Like, the lighting situation might not be possible in that scene. He's just like, doesn't care. He's trying to bring your attention to the important parts. He's trying to tell you a story. And I really want some of that in my work. I feel like I'm a slave to the rules sometimes. I spend so much time trying to figure out perspective and rendering, lighting, all this stuff. Sometimes I sit there trying to solve these problems, like, how is this cast shadow going to work? When I should be asking the question, does this cast shadow draw attention towards my focal point instead? You know? And it's this endless struggle of trying to do things right and properly, and then also just the far more important aspect of telling the story and showing narrative. And I really need to loosen up a little bit, and I think Jesper Eising is a great inspiration for that. He really knows how to push your focus towards the important stuff and get this mood and story across really, really nicely. We're approaching the end of this one now. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's not tripping you out too much. It's weird to look at, isn't it? It's maybe a bit busy. I do like it in some way, but at the same time, it is uncomfortable to look at. I feel like the composition is a bit busy because you've got all these branches and errant lines going everywhere. I don't think it's the most impactful, immediate read, and I don't think it's the most moody piece in the world. I've definitely got to work on that stuff, but I had a lot of fun with it. I challenged myself. I feel like I landed somewhere in the acceptable range with the challenge. I'm like, that's acceptable. I can move on. And it gave me some direction. It said, go in this direction. You tried this. You did all right. Now this is what's missing. Go over there. Anyway, a bit of housekeeping. I want the channel to move a little bit further in this direction, kind of just producing a nice piece of art and doing topical discussions. I'll probably drop the odd tip here and there, but these heavy-duty tutorial videos are probably not the direction I want the channel to go in, mainly because there's already a million tutorials out there on the internet by people who really know what they're talking about. It's redundant to just keep treading over the same crap over and over again. You can find the information elsewhere. If you do want to hear my deeper insights on things, or you want to get my opinion on your work and things like that, some guidance and feedback, jump over to my Patreon. For just a dollar a month, you can get a Discord link. You can jump in there. I'm on there every day. It's very lonely right now. I've got a few patrons, but no one seems to want to talk to me. Why don't people want to talk to me? The only thing that'll listen is this goddamn microphone. Even the cat's had enough of me. He's run off. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for stopping by. And until next time, keep on drawing.